News Radio 1000 KTOK. Oklahoma's first news at 7:45, and in lieu of our scintillating news rhombus, we wanted to have a special guest on this morning to address this crazy statement put out by DHS earlier in the week to the Homeland Security bunch and Janet Napolitano. And who better, and which, by the way, this has veterans groups up in arms, and deservedly so. And so we wanted to get a veteran, a well-decorated veteran, as a matter of fact. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Russell is now representing District 45 in the Oklahoma Senate. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Reed.
This thing has just infuriated so many people, including myself, who I find to be described in this crazy DHS report. What's your take and what's your look on this thing?
Well, let's just hear it for itself in this sentence. It says the possible passage of new restrictions on firearms and the return of military veterans facing significant challenges reintegrating into their communities could lead to the potential emergence of terrorist groups or lone wolf extremists capable of carrying out violent attacks. And then the report goes on to single out those that believe in issues such as curbing gun control efforts, criticizing free trade agreements, highlighting perceived government infringement on civil liberties such as abortion and other issues that it names, and there you go.
I can't tell you that, and I don't know if they mean that, well, one person might have one of these aspects of his political belief, but that I have several of those. Man, I must be in trouble. How about you, sir?
I unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess as I look at it, I'm guilty of everything named there. Being a returning Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran, you know, having a difficult time reintegrating into society. I suppose my colleagues, some may see it that way. And then, you know, my conservative values and family values and beliefs apparently are the subject of scrutiny and monitoring because I might be a threat to society.
Yes, I know, that huge threat that Luke into. I mean, last time I checked, you were going after bad guys. You know,
and that's the thing, that to think that our veterans who risked their lives, including myself, that we would take up arms against the United States of America as a terrorist group is just absurd. It's got the VFW, the Legion, many of the veterans organizations that I work with, to include my own, Vets for Victory. There are a lot of folks that are up in arms about it, and there's not a small number of us in the Senate that are upset about this as well. And we're calling on a retraction of this statement. Now, Janet Napolitano, the Homeland Security Director, has tried to issue somewhat of an apology towards the wording of how this was done towards veterans, but no, it needs to go further than that. It also names that veterans would become like Timothy McVeigh and do bombings like Oklahoma City in this report, and that should be offensive to all Oklahomans and veterans. Absolutely.
There's a story, though, Eric, it's on Washington Times, in the Washington Times today, from Audrey Hudson, that says Napolitano stands by controversial report. So whether she's trying to reword it or not, she still thinks that the meat of it is true and accurate. And obviously she's going to reflect the opinion of the administration. How deep does this go in Washington? Is this the take everybody's has in Washington in this administration, do you think?
Reed, I do believe it. I've been combating things like this. In fact, I spoke about this very topic just a couple of weeks ago to returning veterans coming back from Iraq. I do a lot of this type of study and speaking nationally. This is nothing more than political and ideological profiling, and it has to stop. We have to take a stand and say, look, our veterans are not these suspect people that are coming home that, you know, are having trouble being your neighbor. I mean, the fact of the matter is, some of these most violent acts that have occurred in the news of late were committed by anybody but veterans. We have to quit politically and ideologically profiling our veterans. It needs to stop.
And you're the vice chair of the Public Safety and Homeland Security Committee. I mean, certainly there has to be other people that feel the same way you do on that committee.
Yes, not just on the committee, but on the Senate floor, and not a few across the aisle as well, which is good because Oklahoma does treat its veterans very well. they find the aspects of how veterans are treated in this report to be offensive, and it is, because if you were to take, there's a whole section called disgruntled military veterans. If you were to do that with any other group, it's nothing more than political profiling.
Yeah. All right, Senator, I'm out of time, but I certainly appreciate you calling in. It's always good to talk to you, sir.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you giving attention to the report.
Anytime. That's Senator Steve Russell from District 45. It's 750 and 1000.